Lesson 4-3, Dividing Decimals by Whole Numbers. The main idea of this lesson is to be able to divide decimals by whole numbers. Here's our first example. 6.8 divided by 2. Now whenever we divide, we have what I call the den, and we're going to have some number on the inside of the den and some number on the outside of the den. The first number goes inside the den. The second number goes on the outside, so they end up crisscrossing. The first number goes inside the den, the second number goes on the outside. So we're going to set it up like that. And now we ask ourselves, 2 goes into 6 how many times? 2 goes into 6 3 times. And now I'm going to multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I'm going to subtract. These two 6's cancel out, so the only thing I'm left with is the 8. I'm going to bring that down. 2 goes into 8 how many times? 2 goes into 8 4 times. So I'm going to put the 4 right above the 8. So now and then I'm going to multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. So I end up getting 0. So I'm all done. I have no more numbers to divide into. But now I need to figure out where the decimal point goes. You have to imagine that the decimal point is going to float right directly up, and it's going to go right between these numbers. So that's why it's really important when you're dividing and you're writing your numbers that you line them right up. And so the decimal point is going to go right here, and so our answer is going to be 3.4. So 6.8 divided by 2 is going to be 3.4. Here's another one. 7.49 divided by 14. So we're going to draw our little den. And remember, the first number is the number that's going to go inside the den. And the second number is the number that's going to go on the outside of the den. So now we're going to ask ourselves, 14 goes into 7. It can't go into 7. 7's too small. So I'm going to put a 0 right above the 7. So next time I'm going to ask myself, 14 goes into 74 how many times? Now I don't know about you, but I don't know my 14's times tables. But I do know how to add 15 pretty well. And 15 is pretty close to 14, so I'm going to estimate. So 15 times 2 is 30. So that means 15 times 4 is got to be 60. And that's still not quite enough. It's got to be a little bit, it's got to be almost 14 more than that. So that means 14 times 5 would be a good place to start. So I'm going to go 14 times 5 over here on the side, and I'm going to multiply that out to get my answer. And I find out that 14 times 5 is 70. Well, that's awful close to 74. That means I couldn't do 14 times 6. That's going to be too big. So I'm going to do 5. And I'm going to line it up above the 4. And now I'm going to take this 70 and I'm going to put it right underneath the 74. And now we're going to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4, and 7 minus 7 is 0. And now we're going to bring this 9 straight down. Now we need to figure out how many times does 14 go into 49. Again, I'm going to estimate with the 15s. 15 times 2 is going to be 30, and 15 times 3 is going to be 45. And 45 is awfully close to 49, so that means I'm going to try 3. 14 times 3. And we get 42. So that means my estimation of 3 was awful close, and I'm going to put 3 right here above the 9. And now I'm going to take this 42 and I'm going to line it right up underneath the 49. And now we're going to subtract. 9 minus 2 is 7. 4 minus 4 is 0. But I still have a number down here. So what I need to do in order to finish this problem is I have to put a 0 at the end right here. And I'm going to extend my line a little bit. And now I'm going to bring this 0 down. So now I want to know how many times does 14 go into 70? Hey, 70 is a number I've seen before, right here. That means that 14 has to go into 70 5 times. And I already know that 14 times 5 is 70, so I'm going to put the 70 here. I subtract, and I get to 0. Now I know I'm done. You're not done dividing until you get a 0 here at the end. It's not when you run out of numbers here, it's when you get a 0 at the end of your subtraction. And remember, we're just going to bring this decimal point straight up, and there's our answer. So 7.49 divided by 14 is 0.535. And that's how you divide a decimal by a whole number. The first number goes on the inside of the den, the second number goes on the outside of the den. We divide until we're all done and we get a 0 when we're done subtracting.